Mr. Chairman, committee members, thank you so much for inviting us here today. We really appreciate it.
For being here.
Thank you. So I'm Chris Larson. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Ripple Labs. Ripple Labs is a software company based in San Francisco. We're at just over 100 employees today. About 2/3 of those are engineers. We're trying to bring together a combination of technologists with deep experience in cryptography, with financial experts that understand the basic plumbing of our global financial system, as well as regulators. We just added Gene Sperling recently to our board, used to be the chief economics advisor under both Presidents Clinton and Obama. And so what we see that's important about this technology, this distributed ledger technology, isn't so much that there's a creation of a new currency for the world. We actually don't think the world needs a new currency, has plenty of currencies. We think the big problem is moving those currencies around efficiently, either globally or even domestically. So if you look at the way money moves today, we have really a series of closed-loop systems. The U.S. system is actually not connected to the European system or Australia's system or China's system. And the only way that those value or payment systems talk to each other is through fairly antiquated technology and processes like correspondent banking, for example. So the problem with that is, I can literally send a package to Europe faster than I can send money there. So our current value exchange system is very slow, 2+ days minimum. It's actually very expensive for banks in terms of capital they have to put up and fees they have to pay the correspondent banks. There's actually quite a bit of risk in the middle. Payments fail all the time while being transferred. And there's sort of a key lack of competition for foreign exchange and sort of liquidity in our global payment systems. So what we see these technologies for being important today is addressing that need of banks to move value internationally and domestically. So we actually don't think today there's a particularly strong consumer or merchant value proposition. We think there absolutely will be, but we think right now these technologies can actually serve banks as sort of a key missing settlement infrastructure at the bottom of the payment stack. So leaving alone the application layer that banks use, the custodian of asset layer that banks provide, and even the rule setting that NACHA and SEPA in Europe provide today. This would really just address allowing value to settle in seconds instead of days, without the need of banks using an intermediary like a correspondent bank. Without the need of banks using an intermediary like a correspondent bank, banks could settle directly without risk of failure in the middle, and providing sort of new fundamental levels of competition for foreign exchange and liquidity. And kind of stepping way back, we agree that this is the beginning of an internet of value. That is now possible. It wasn't possible before Bitcoin. Bitcoin showed it was possible to do this. Ripple's taking that and using a different technology based on the same principles. But the key thing is we think just like the early days of the Internet of Knowledge, going back 20 years ago, that Internet would not have value unless you got the key custodians of knowledge on board, the universities, the research facilities, think ARPANET, Stanford. We think we're in that same period with the Internet of Value, that before these technologies have key utility, we have to get the custodians of value on board first. And those are the banks, financial institutions, market makers. Then I think we're set up where these things can have tremendous value across the board. And so again, the value these things bring are speed of payments, seconds from days, the ability to correspond directly bank to bank with much less counterparty risk in process, and with fundamentally more competition for foreign exchange and liquidity for those institutions, which will trickle down to the businesses and consumers that use those institutions. And I'm happy to answer any other questions about our technology or the company. And again, thank you so much for allowing us to be here.
Appreciate the opportunity to meet with you today. I commend your leadership in investigating virtual currencies and other emerging technologies. I'm pleased to offer an overview of Ripple and address any questions you may have. Ripple Labs is based in San Francisco and employs a team of 95 men and women with experience in government and regulation, finance, and technology. Their previous experience includes Federal Reserve, U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, the NSA, Goldman Sachs, Deloitte, Apple, and Google. Our goal is to create faster, safer, and more efficient payment systems domestically and across international borders. In my view, a large portion of today's inefficiencies in payments stem from antiquated infrastructure. In many countries, the technology underpinning payments was last updated in the 1970s and was not designed with interoperability in mind. Because systems are not compatible, banks have to rely on a patchwork of intermediaries to move funds.
Can I show your face or no? Yeah. Hi, we're here at CBOS, and this gentleman is taking his time to answer a couple questions about blockchain and if it's going to be implemented in the banking system. So can you let us know how SWIFT is going to use blockchain for sending money?
I'm not sure how SWIFT is going to do it, but for sure they will. It's on its way, and we are doing trials on it.
Very good. And do you know about on-demand liquidity and DLT?
Yes.
Okay, and do you know about a company called Ripple, and are they being used?
Ripple, yes, of course we do.
Oh, wow, that's amazing. Do you know about bills of lading going to bills of e-lading in the UK?
No, we are not involved on that.
Okay, but do you know about it?
Yes.
Being used on the blockchain?
Yes.
Trading is going to be on the blockchain?
We had listened about it, but we are not involved in it
Right.
at the moment.
Are you connected with Ripple in any way? A partner with Ripple?
Not yet.
Not yet. That's a very good answer. All right, I really appreciate your time. And can I ask your name? And
Arthur Pereira from T-Info Technologies.
nice. And are you here from Portugal?
From Portugal.
Wow. Well, thank you for coming to Canada, and have a wonderful trip back home.
Okay, thank you very much. You too.
Take care. Thank you.
For city token services for cash and for trade. So now what we can do is we can move tokenized deposits around cities, corridors. Right now it's just US and Singapore with aspirations of adding another 3 to 5 in the next near term. Well, it's great that we have this internal token, but our clients don't want a city token or another bank token. What they want is cross-bank, cross-border liquidity. So it's key that now that we have the infrastructure of the platform built internally, we work with Regulated Liability Network and other participants about how do we solve these difficult issues as an industry. And there's still a lot of questions out there, but this FMI that RLN aspires to be is extremely positive.
I think one important factor here is that, going right back to the start of when the case was brought, that was almost exactly the same time that we started out on our CBDC projects. And, it was kind of a strange time. So we just had this lawsuit. We also had COVID kicking in, and despite all those things, we were able to get this business off the ground. I would tell you that outside of the US, the SEC case, had almost no impact on our ability to get conversations and projects going with central banks. I know here in the US, we focus a lot on the US, that's what you'd expect, but the reality is that the rest of the world does not see things the same way. I think it's been clear for a while that countries like the UK and Switzerland and Japan have been very clear that XRP is not a security. So anyway, moving on to the CBDC side, it's not really been an impediment. Since we started 2.5 years ago on this project, we've announced 5 different countries that are working with us. We have a similar number that are not announced, and then we have 20 plus other active discussions underway. So 20 plus other active discussions underway. So from my point of view, it's great that we've got this victory. It doesn't dramatically change the work that I'm working on with central banks around the world.
Once upon a time, the world was in the midst of a financial revolution. Cryptocurrencies had become the norm, and the traditional financial system's payment rails were becoming obsolete. But among all the various cryptocurrencies, one stood out as the clear choice to dominate the future financial system: XRP. The story of XRP's dominance began with its unique properties. Unlike many other cryptocurrencies, XRP was designed specifically for use in the financial sector. Its lightning-fast transaction speed and low transaction fees made it ideal for use in cross-border payments and remittances, and it was quickly adopted by banks and financial institutions around the world. As more and more institutions began to use XRP, its value began to skyrocket. Investors saw the potential for XRP to become the backbone of the global financial system, and they began pouring their money into it. As a result, XRP's market capitalization surpassed that of even the largest traditional banks, and it became clear that XRP was the chosen cryptocurrency to dominate the future financial system. Governments around the world took notice of XRP's dominance, and many of them began to adopt the XRPL to build their own official currencies. The benefits of using XRPL's technology to underpin their national currency were numerous. It was secure, fast, and cheap, and it could be used by anyone, anywhere in the world. As XRP continued to gain momentum, it became clear that it was not just a cryptocurrency, but a revolutionary technology that would change the face of finance forever. With its advanced features and widespread adoption, XRP ushered in a new era of financial innovation and prosperity for all. And so the world was transformed by XRP, the chosen cryptocurrency that had dominated the future financial system. It had overcome all obstacles and proven its worth, and it would continue to drive the world forward for generations to come.